the pursuit of happiness.
My name is Siegel, and I am on a 3-month road trip, and I'm currently 1 month into that road trip. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I decided that I wanted to see all 50 states. On this road trip, I'm not doing all 50 states because it would take a lot longer than 3 months. This isn't my first road trip either. I've done other road trips, but this is going to be the first one that I'm going to attempt doing vlogging. And I kind of want to explain what I'm doing with one main word, which is fear. And fear has really been a huge part of this trip, and in 3 ways. There's the fear of doing the road trip, there's the fear that people have for me on this road trip, and then there's the fear of what is the right way to share this road trip and keep track of this road trip. And I'm just going to start from the top. So the fear of doing this road trip. I am a single female. There is no one in my passenger seat. There's no one in my back seat. It is just me on the road. And I'm driving long hours, and I am staying with people that I've never met before. I'm not staying in hostels, I'm not staying in hotels, I'm actually staying at people's houses. And pretty much I get in contact with them like 2 weeks or so before I'm actually coming, and then voila, they give me a place to stay for a couple of days. So, I was scared shitless before I started this trip because just one of the things about being a female and traveling is that you do have to worry more than, say, a guy would, because there are some creepy people out there and some crazy things happen. So yeah, there's that fear. And then on top of that, though, there's this really big fear of the loneliness. On my first road trip, I was staying in hotels, I was staying in hostels, and I'm a really shy person, and those are not easy places to just go and meet people. They're easy for people that are really extroverted and that make friends easy, but I do not make friends easy. So going out on this trip, I was really afraid that I was going to feel this overwhelming amount of loneliness. And at the time that I was leaving Portland, Oregon, things were pretty good. I had just graduated college, and I had a really good group of friends. I just met some new amazing people, and I really just almost didn't want to leave. But at the same time, I was actually really depressed out there in Portland because I had just graduated college, and I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. I don't have a career lined out. And it was just, I just knew that if I stayed there, that if I stayed in Portland and I got some job and I just kind of didn't really go and achieve my goal of seeing this country, America, if you didn't catch that already, that I would just stay in that really unhappy state. So I set out, and I'll admit, on my first couple of drives, on my first 6-hour-long drives, I cried a little bit, but I'll get into that. And then there's the fear that people had for me doing this road trip. I've met just so many people along the way that are just like, wow, that's amazing, good on you for doing that, aren't you scared? I've had people warning me about certain areas. I had one woman in Arkansas warned me that the highway from Little Rock to Memphis is one of the most dangerous highways in the world, and there's going to be horrible traffic, and it's just so busy, and that I just shouldn't stop at all. And it was just really interesting, and she's being really motherly with me. I'd met her daughter hiking, and it was crazy to me because when I did the drive, it was no different than any other drive I've done. So it's really interesting the amount of fear that people have of places that they haven't been for a while, or places that they just don't really know about. And so, a big thing that is part of this trip is kind of facing all of those fears, conquering those fears, and just kind of realizing that people live everywhere, you know. Even though there's bad parts to a city, people still live there. There's still good parts. People wouldn't live in areas that were just constantly terrible. And then the last main fear has been vlogging. You know, and I'm starting this vlogging midway through my trip, and I really, really wish that I was starting it earlier. But a part of the reason that I didn't is because there's so many vlogs out there already. There's so many people doing this already. And I just kind of figured that... Thank you, GPS. I just kind of figured that I wouldn't have the time to sit down and edit a video together every day. I didn't want to take up that much memory on my computer. I thought that I was going to do blogging, which, let me tell you, blogging takes a lot. I mean, I blogged for a good portion of my trip, and then I just couldn't find the time to do it anymore, because you have to sit down every day and type it out, and I just couldn't get enough out of it. Because if I'm going to blog, it's going to be more like a book and less just like a quick little blurb about what I did that day. So I'm going to try vlogging. And I've thought a lot about it because, you know, it's kind of a scary thing to like let people into my life like this and to let them hear me talk, to see me.
Continue on route.
I mean, okay, yeah, my GPS. All right, we got it. We're on the route now. Let's face it, like, I'm not a film star beauty. I have acne. I have one eye that's squintier than the other, which you probably can't see right now because of my heart-shaped sunglasses, which I love my heart-shaped sunglasses a lot. But, you know, and maybe the things that I say aren't going to be all that interesting, but I just want to share what it's like to be on the road and what kind of things to think of when you're going to do a road trip, and just kind of how easy it is to get across this country and to get back. So I'm not going to necessarily tell you guys where I'm going before I get there. It's more going to be like every 3 or 4 days I'll post a video that has the city that I just went to, and it'll show you like the things that I look for when I go in a city, and just kind of like the fun things that there are, and to kind of give a background of where I've already been, which I think was the most interesting part of my road trip. And like I said, I'm just really sad that I didn't get a chance to film all of it. So I started from Oregon. I drove down to California where my parents live. I went up to Tahoe and Reno and visited a friend, and then I drove out to Salt Lake City, Utah, went to Arches National Park, which is incredible, went to Denver, Colorado, Wichita, Kansas, Tulsa and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Little Rock, Arkansas, Memphis, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, Greenville, South Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, and I went to Lexington, Kentucky. So that's where I have been so far, and I have a good amount of cities to go, but I'm definitely entering more well-known cities. So something that I am going to try and do is see if the people that hosted me, the amazing people that have hosted me so far on this trip, will be willing to go and film some of the places that I went in their cities and give you an idea of what those states have to offer, because they really do have amazing things. They have amazing views, you know. I mean, I tell people I went to Wichita, and I go, you know what, I actually had a lot of fun in Wichita. I actually found some really cool things in Wichita. Or, you know, I tell them that Birmingham, Alabama is one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been, and I met some